Hello, welcome back to Leicester Fan TV. This is the Foxes Focus Show. We'll be discussing all things Leicester. I've got Simon with me tonight. Good evening, Simon.
Good evening, Jono. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. So, another week, another horror show from Leicester City, and it's all going bad to worse. You've got fans leaving the stadium. You've got a horrific post being put up about the players. You've got players going against fans on social media. You've got players liking other players' goals on social media. You've got the Tom's gone top. It's like a meerkat, or he's gone up, showed his head, and gone back into his hidey hole again. We're just a shambles, aren't we, of a club at the moment?
Oh, what is going on, Jono? What is going on? We can only play for parts of games. Clearly, we can't turn up for either the first or second half, or we do 15 minutes and then we disappear. The owner, like you say, appears, gives an interview, admits that he's been absent, and then goes absent again. You know,
there you go. I mean,
brings in a CEO that we know because they announced it is now, or an MD, sorry, I think. Apologies. That supposed to be in a senior position in the club, but again, no statement, no communication with the fans, no nothing. We're told there's technical people coming in that are supposed to be, taking over from Rudkin to run the football side of things. But as it stands, you can only assume that John Rudkin's still doing it because no one's been employed. So, and we're on the back of 2 defeats. We're heading for a derby against Derby, which is bragging rights in the East Midlands. And like me, if I turn up for work on Monday having got thrashed, then I'm going to get a load of abuse. So, it feels off, doesn't it, John? It just feels off.
Well, let's rewind back to Saturday when we faced off against Sheffield United. I mean, even though we've been poor, we felt optimistic because even though Sheffield United had a bounce since what's his name's come back, and they've been a bit on a bounce, but we thought we could still beat them. I've never seen us start a game so poorly in my life. If I turn up to work and was that poor, I'd be in an accident in 30 seconds because when I start work, I've got to be on the ball focused. To spend the first half of the game being asleep, conceded 2 goals in 5 minutes. What an absolute joke! How are we starting games?
I mean, for me, there's one of 2 things going on. Either the players are just ignoring what Cifuentes is telling them and just doing whatever they like, which is possible, especially with some of the strong characters that we've got in our squad at the moment that have obviously fallen out with managers in recent past. It does make you wonder whether they're just sitting there thinking, "Oh, ignore him. Let's just do what we know. We know better." Or the manager's not setting them up properly. To go out. I've said this several times this season. When you're at home, you should be dictating the play. I haven't seen anything in this league yet that frightens me. I've not seen us play anyone where you think, Christ, these are much better than us. I've not seen that once. So we should be going out with an attitude of dictating the games at home, at least at home. We're more that we've got the ability in our squad is more than good enough. But for some reason, and it's an enigma why, and we can kind of fill the gaps this evening as to why that might be. We're just not doing it. We're not turning up, and there's no reaction. Or if there is a reaction, it's too late, like it was on the weekend.
It's even more frustrating when we do have these spells of 40 minutes, 30 minutes, or a whole half of football where we're the dominant team and we're winning. But in either that's the first or second half, we just collapse, like tactical errors. Like we're playing really well 1 minute against Middlesbrough, we're doing really, really well. And then you brought on Skip, and then we just collapse and we just concede and we're lucky to get away with a draw. Like it's just complete. The players, it's the players, the management, and the board. It's a complete lack of ability to sustain anything. We can't have a good string of games together. We haven't had one good transfer window in 6 years, like a proper decent one. And it's just an absolute shambles, and it showed because at half time, half the stadium left. I think that's the first time that's happened in a long time where half the ground's just gone.
Well, the first thing to say is the ground's not full in the first place anymore.
No.
No, the second thing to say is if you serve that up, it was a vile day on Saturday as well. You're off, aren't you? You think, well, why am I sitting here wasting my time? Putting effort in if this lot aren't. It's problematic. I mean, I read an article earlier that where a fan wrote an article for the BBC, and he basically said that watching Leicester at the minute is like an episode of Scooby Doo, where at the end of it, the mask gets pulled off the head and you see who the real villain is, and it's always someone that surprises you, right? Well, in this case, he's suggesting that the villain underneath the Cifuentes mask is Van Nistelrooy, because this team is playing, and I agree with this, almost identically now to the way it did under Van Nistelrooy last season. It's turning up for small spells of games. The system's the same as the Van Nistelrooy system. The style and the intensity of play is also the same. So we might as well have just stuck with him and saved the money from sacking him because we're getting the same football.
I mean, it can't be a coincidence that two managers are playing the exact same style of football, and we didn't see a pre-season under Ruud, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe that's his style of football, but there's no way the style of football we saw from Cifuentes from the beginning, from the pre-season to now, and the football's been the same as the last two managers. It's not a coincidence that the owners must have an influence on how they set up tactically, because it's like chalk and cheese to dip the football. It's so horrifically poor. And to start, I mean, Ruben Van Nistelrooy was a striker. He's playing passive tiki-taki football. And we've got two managers, Ruud and Cifuentes, who were linked with bringing in youngsters. Where is that?
But it's gone missing. We had a bit of it at the start of the season, didn't we? With Page playing and a few others, but it's eroded as the. I mean, he caught a cold playing Aluko instead of when Thomas was suspended at Southampton because he got sent off before half an hour. And the chap whose name I can't remember, apologies, playing down the right for Southampton, just tore him apart for 25 minutes and he got sent off. So there's got to be a balance in terms of when you time bringing these players in. But the other thing here that we haven't brought up yet, which is relevant, is that when we do play well in spells of games, we haven't got the goals in the side at the minute to get enough of a lead to protect, and we end up camped in our own box for the last 10 minutes of games, trying to protect a 1-goal lead when we are winning games, throwing Chowdhury and Samare and all these other negative players on, trying to cling on to a 1-goal lead because we've got, for some reason or another, a complete lack of ability at the minute to get enough goals.
Well, it's funny you said that because the GOAT scored 2 goals yesterday for Cremon against Bologna, and that's more goals than Daka scored in a calendar year. And it's just proven that he's in a different league, and he's just like a duck to water. He's adapted really well. He's been put into the team slowly, and he's just done really well. And that just shows how bad management we are. I'm just going to read a few comments. Speaking of players this week have been absolutely embarrassing. The first one is JJ. He's been the breath of fresh air we've all loved, but you can't say that we're not going to get relegated because we're too good. I want to relate you back to Maddison for the first time we went down. He said, give it time, trust in the process. We went down and he left. Then you had Chowdhury liking the goal post on Instagram. He liked a Sheffield United player's post saying he scored a goal. Then you had Fataru arguing with a fan online saying trust in our process. What are you guys doing? Like, us as fans, there's right to an opinion if we're paying our hard-earned money and you're putting up the absolute crap every single game with a right to our opinion. You can't turn around and say trust the process. What process? You've done F all season. Everyone's walking around everywhere, showing no quality. How these players are going against the owners come out and say we need more communication, yet the fans are going against the players are arguing against the fans.
Yeah. I mean, Andy, evening to you. You're saying top 3 players, bottom 3 performances. I think that's pretty much, we can save half an hour's chat here, and that pretty much sums it up. The other thing that Jordan James said is that I think he said that if any fans or journalists think that we're going to go to League One this season, they're out of their minds. Right. And he also said that the players, the senior players amongst the group will ensure that doesn't happen. Well, I would argue that some of those senior players amongst the group that are part of the problem, because they're not setting the right tone, setting the right example for in my opinion, for the rest of the players to follow. There's bickering on the pitch. We've seen it on numerous occasions during the course of the season. I think Winks and Vestergaard had a bit of a tete-a-tete this weekend. Just gone. It's not healthy to see that sort of division amongst the senior, more experienced players at the club. So I'm not buying it. I respect Jordan James's passion for, he's on loan and he's come in and he's obviously seeing an opportunity for himself. But I'm not seeing it. Ultimately, what will dictate us believing that we're not going down or we're not in threat of going down is the performances on the pitch that lead to the relevant points to make sure we don't. And right now, we're not seeing that. So that's the end of that.
I mean, you see, that's the type of attitude that's leading us to lose games. You think you're going to go into a game and walk over a championship team, but yet you go into the game and you're 2-0 down in 5 minutes against a team that's up for relegation. So you can't come out and have that performance against a relegation, pretty much, a rival at the moment for relegation, because we're going to be in that position soon, and then say we're not going to get relegated.
No. And as Jordan says, even to you, no team's too big to be relegated. We have been there before, and it could easily happen again. And, whilst I caught Cifuentes' press conference when I got in from work this evening, had a quick look, and he was grilled about the whole hearing and PSR thing. He swatted it away and kind of was trying to reassure people, saying that when there was something to tell, the club will tell it. But you can't help but feeling that's just kind of hanging in the background, and if it's the worst case scenario, then that puts us right into a relegation fight. I mean, we talked last week, Jono, and we were talking about, it's not been that great, but a win potentially could take us 6th. We're now 5 points off a 6th, having lost last weekend, and we're 9 points off a 2nd, whereas we were only 6th this time last week.
And we're only 7 points away from being in a relegation place.
So we're kind of in that halfway mid-table place now, where this season,
but we're 16th,
could go either way. Yeah, but this is something else Jordan James was saying, that the championship this season is a different animal, and I do agree with that. It's a lot more open this year. There isn't a nucleus of teams running away with the kind of top 2 race. There's still opportunity there. Anyone who can be consistent above the kind of bottom 3 or 4 sides could run themselves. I mean, Sheffield United, on the back of the run they've had over the last few weeks, will be thinking they're going to run themselves at least into the playoffs this season. Now Chris Wilde has sorted them out. Someone apparently who we interviewed for the job in the summer and decided wasn't the right man.
It's just poor. It's just really, really poor. Comment saying, let's just be honest, we ain't winning that. We're not winning. We're no points deduction yet. It's coming. There's no way we're not getting a points deduction. We just don't know whether it's going to be 6 or 9 points or 12. We don't know yet.
I think the 12 is out, because I think from what Sky Sports is saying, it's 3 points per infringement, which means it's a max of 9.
But that takes us below Portsmouth.
Yeah, I mean, it completely changes the face of the season. Completely. What is at the minute, as we just alluded to, we're almost the same distance from the bottom 3 at the minute as we are the top 3. It's going to go one way or the other over these next games. There's a lot of games that come in December, and it will, we will start. It will start to unravel for Leicester City during the course of this month.
It will. Full as said earlier, where did he put that comment? What needs to happen on Saturday, lads? So this This has to be turned around now. Like there's no more. Oh, like the teams need to embed. No, we need a result now. What do we do? What if you were Cifuentes? What would you do to just stop the bleeding? Uh, Not just winning in a massive fashion, just stop the bleeding and just turn this form around.
Well, whilst Sheffield United stung, and people walked out and people were angry, and the last couple of games has turned the tide again, and the pressure back on Cifuentes. I wasn't sure, if I'm honest, he was going to get through the weekend just gone with his job. I did wonder, and there were some rumours flying around, which obviously were untrue, that he might have lost his job this weekend. The first and foremost thing that he's got to convince or demand of those players this weekend is a performance, because there's not one Leicester City fan that's either going to be watching that in a pub or turning up at the ground on Saturday lunchtime who's going to want to watch a limp wrist performance against local rivals. No one's going to accept that this weekend.
No.
And if they come out the same way they did against Sheffield United at the weekend, then this will turn on the club and the manager and the players like nothing that's come so far this season, because this is the derby for us this season. This is the big game, the two games coming this month against Derby County. So no one's going to accept a limp wrist performance. Absolutely not. So that's the first thing he's got to get. The second thing that for me, well, there's two things, because statistically, and let me just check my maths here, we haven't kept a clean sheet for 12 games, Jono. So, that's the second thing that he's got to do, because in my experience of watching football and being around football, if you're leaking goals regularly, then that puts you on the back foot in games more often than not, because you're coming from behind, or you're taking a lead and then the other team's leveling the game up. You're never getting in a commanding position. So he's got to stop that. He's got to stop us conceding goals and build a foundation, because we're not going to, as we've said loads of times on this show this season, we're not going to get bundles of goals. We've not, as a team, we've scored 20 odd goals this season, something like that.
We've scored.
We need. That's not enough to get to be also conceding.
We've scored 22 goals.
There we go. Okay, 22. So I'm miscounting the two from the weekend.
Coventry have scored, guess how many?
Well, it'd be at least double that, I would think.
50.
Odd. Yeah.
Over double our goals. That is, and we're supposed to have two Premier League strikers. I mean, Ayo's not a natural striker, but two players who are Premier League experienced. Daka's European experience. He scored a hat-trick in Europe. We scored over. Coventry have been in the Premier League for over 20 years, 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, Christ, that's frightening, because you can kind of see us heading that way. I mean, Keith's on with us tonight, Jono. So here's one. Let me throw this one at you, Jono. Simon, given the chance, would you sack Marty? Question mark.
No. Why? Why would you? What's the point? All we're going to do is get a new manager, have one good game, and then have the same football for another 6 months and sack him again.
The only reason for me that I could think I would say yes to that, and I've heard quite a few people since the weekend certainly calling for that, is that if he is responsible for the style of football that we're playing at the moment, and if the answer is yes, then for me, I think it's time, and it's timely in terms of getting someone else in time for the January transfer window to try and affect some of the issues that we've got within our squad. There's no point, if we're not thinking long term, as if we is taking him through that window, allowing him to amend the squad, if we're not sticking with that. And if he's responsible for the way our style of football has deteriorated this season, because it has, let's be honest, from the start of the season to now deteriorated, then for me, he needs to go.
If I get absolute given evidence that Cifuentes has decided to play this football on his own accord, then sack him. But I am 99% sure it is not his decision to play this style of football from the evidence that I was given in the beginning of the season. It's like, for example, your mate gets a girlfriend. He's he's got his personality. He gets a girlfriend. He's a different person afterwards. Who it's still the body's the same, but what's changed? What's the defining factor? Why is that changed? Out of the last since um, Martin Fuentes, Ruben Nistelrooy, Steve Cooper, the only manager before Enzo. All those managers have one thing in common: is boring football. Enzo's the only one who's actually managed to get a tune out of any player and play decent football.
Before Enzo was the relegation season, so that ended with Dean Smith. But before that,
Well,
it
that was
was
Brendan Rodgers.
Brendan Rodgers for most of it. Yeah.
I mean, Brendan Rodgers' football completely collapsed. We weren't playing that exciting football we saw with the FA Cup and when we were at the runs in Europe.
Well, he didn't believe in the squad that he had. He'd been trying to tell the club it needed a reboot for quite a while before he ended up losing his job. And I think he lost faith in the hierarchy in terms of supporting him. And I think he checked out and was sat there waiting for the sack and the whacking great big payoff that came with it.
Is a transfer embargo possible? I think not. If there was transfer embargo, it would have happened before the season started. They wouldn't say, right, you can have a summer transfer window, but you can't have a January transfer window. So I think it'll be just a point deduction. I'm hoping. Actually, no, I think it's a good thing. Then we're forced to use our youngsters.
Well, we would be, because with 9 players, or 8 actually, because they signed Thomas on a new contract. So with 8 players out of contract in the summer, if they put an embargo against us, we would have no choice but to play the kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Michael's on here, like, just quickly, he's saying Sif won't lose his job. He's doing what the owners and board want him to do, which is reinforcing exactly what you've just said, that you feel like this is a strategy that's coming from above the manager.
I don't want to believe it, but we all heard about some owners only going for managers because they believe this they want to have this style of football. But literally, top witness us winning the league with us literally having 20 to 30% possession every single game, and just hitting the ball hard as we could to Mahrez, then to Vardy, and winning every single game. Well, most games. Why is it? I blame Pep. I blame Pep for this, because there's no way he would be playing this identity of Leicester City. We have a song saying we counter-attacked, about counter-attacking, to playing this boring tiki-taka football that does, with footballers that can't do it. So I don't know where this philosophy, this change has come from a club standpoint, because it's just not working, and we need to stop buying managers. No matter who manager we get, it's going to be the same football.
What did you say to me before we come on about the lad at Wolves? Bring that into the mix. I think it's relevant.
There's this, I forgot his manager's name, but
Mick McCarthy, Jono.
Yeah, Mick McCarthy. Over 15 years ago, he had an interview, and someone said to him, "So we can't go any worse, can it?" He said, "It can." That's what we want to hear. We don't want to hear. Oh, we'll get better. We just got.
Well, we hear it. I mean, every week we play rubbish, and then that's what they tell us. Oh, don't worry, we'll sort it out next week. And then we all turn up next week, and it's rubbish again.
But he's we want honesty. We want the honesty. Is it going to get worse? Yes, it is. It's just not, because what evidence is what the players saying believe in us, we're going to do better? Why would we believe you? Why would we believe them? Why would we believe Top?
Talk is cheap, Jono, isn't it? You can say what you like. We could sit here right now and say, "Oh, Leicester's going to win the league." Don't worry, we're going to win every game between now and the summer. No one's going to believe us. The truth of it is in what actually happens, what actually occurs. Well, whether we, if we were 16th and we'd seen our team lay everything on the pitch and give every single piece of effort that they could, and through bad fortune, injury, bad luck, whatever, we'd ended up in that position, no one would be moaning. But it's that lack of commitment and drive and to the cause which causes so much frustration for me anyway.
For me, it just seems like the club are treating this like a walk in the park, and the lack of disrespect I'm seeing from the club side is just a joke. It makes us fans look like absolute mugs who pay our heart. Leicester's isn't a rich city. We're not a massive city, so people work bloody hard to earn their money. And we're the biggest club in Leicestershire. It's not like Manchester where you've got like 4 or 5 big clubs. You've got got one big club in Leicester. So everyone pays a harder money to go there. Then you've got them playing awfully. Then you've got players saying we're not going to get relegated. Then you've got the owner saying we're going to, I've been bad. We're going to be communicable or don't communicate. Do they think we're idiots? Do they think we're just these little sorry people where you can just go, I'll listen to you. I'll listen to you. The club has taken us for fools, and I'm bored of it. They're charging us so much. They're charging us for every ounce of, they're making people pay £20 for a plastic car for their season ticket. They're making people, sending all this stuff online, but yet they're not improving on the pitch. One day there's going to be empty stands completely. Well, Sheffield Wednesday level.
I think we're already on that road because the stadium, even at the moment, is just not full at all. Even before people have gone home. Shall we move on to the game at the weekend,
let's move on to the game.
Because having had a quick look at Derby and their recent performances before they meet us on Saturday lunchtime, they've won 6 of their last 8, Jono, and they've beat Swansea, Blackburn, Hull, Sheffield United, Norwich, and QPR in those last 8 games. And then obviously they took the lead against Middlesbrough last weekend and then succumbed to a couple of late on goals, I think, and ended up with nothing. But there's no shame in going up to Middlesbrough and losing this season. They've been one of the main promotion contenders. So, they're another team that of late is in a run of form, and this is something that we seem to be having bad luck with lately as well, Jono, in terms of, Sheffield United have just turned things around and then we have to play them and so on and so on. It feels like we're catching teams at bad times. And despite that defeat last week, I'd suggest that we're also catching Derby County in one of their in one of their better moments in a good few years. So what's your thoughts going into this game this weekend, Jono?
Well, I'm going to allude to what you said earlier. Just don't embarrass us. Don't make those travelling fans. I know it's not as, imagine those fans that travelled that massive trip to I forgot even we played last week. Sheffield
United.
Sheffield United. It made us fans like, why would you go there? Don't make Leicester fans go to Derby County and be a laughing stock. I want to see effort. I don't care if you lose, but as long as every player leaves with bloody noses and half their shirts ripped to pieces, I want to see an actual performance. I want to see stats where it's not 64% possession, 0 shots, 0 on target, 4 yellow cards. I'm bored of those stats. I want to see 40% possession, but 15 shots, 6 on target. That's what I want to see. I don't care if the tactic is, I want to see the tactic is who put up the wingers. I want to see Fatayo sprinting down the wing. I want to see Daka taking on players one-on-one. That's what I want to see.
Elizabeth just dropped in 4-0 Derby. Anyone else got any score predictions for Saturday? Let's start having those and we'll pop those up on the screen.
I'll give you mine.
Oh, here we go. It's not going to be another positive end to this show, is it? Glenn's saying Derby would turn us over. Scott's saying, do you think we should approach Derby for their director of football, Steve McLaren?
I'd rather have Ponteland United recruitment team rather than ours at the moment. That's the football team near me.
DRT Taylor's saying Fataru thinks we're idiots. That's along the lines of what you were saying earlier, Jono, that these players are pushing things out on social media and taking us a little bit for fools.
Yeah.
And that Chowdhury business, obviously, with us, with Leicester Fan TV this week was embarrassing for him. Must have been.
Yeah.
Just poor form. It doesn't show any dedication to the club from a player who's been here since a child. It's a shame to see things like that. But there we go. Come on then. Let's have your prediction, Jono. We're coming to the end, so let's hear it, mate.
4-0 Derby.
Wow.
They're gonna. Ooh. We conceded 2 goals in 4 minutes. Their fans, that stadium is going to be full, and they're going to be up for it. I can't see us not getting absolutely slammed if we played like we did against Sheffield United. If we play how I know we can play, I reckon we can win 2-0. But but I know we're not going to play like that. We're going to play boring tiki-taka football where we try to do this little in our half, little circle, pass it around the circle, then trying to have that neat little pass down the middle. If we keep doing that, we're going to lose 4-0.
Well, I'm not really sure what to say now. I'm going to be a little bit more positive than you. I don't think we'll get hammered. And there is one shred of positivity. Well, it's a couple. The first one is it's Stolarczyk supposed to be available again this weekend. So whether you're on the kind of Bergovic or Stolarczyk train, Stolarczyk's back in potentially. Ben Nelson's also supposed to be available this weekend as well, which for me could be positive. Might mean hopefully that Faz will drop back out of the team, and we'll get Ben Nelson in there again, which for me steadies it up a little bit. The other piece of positivity in it, I had to dig quite deep to try and find one.
You should be a comedian.
Was that Carlton Morris, who scored 10 goals for Derby so far this season, and he's the ex-Luton striker, is injured. So he can't play, and apparently he won't be fit again till the new year. So their main striker is actually out. So there's a little piece of actually don't beat us too much because their best striker's out. So based on all of that, I'm gonna cross all of my fingers and toes, and I'm gonna suggest we're going to draw 1-1 and stop the rot, Jono.
I don't think we can't draw. A draw is not good enough. We have to win. We are in the relegation zone. When this point, the hearing is now. The hearing's been over the last 4 weeks. We can get the result in literally a week, which is 9 points. We have to win games, and these are the games we have to win. Like who have we got after Derby? We've got Bristol City away. They're at top of the table. Ipswich. Yeah, those are two teams who are above us. Then QPR, Watford, then Derby again. You know,
I don't think we've had one comment yet that's actually saying we're going to win.
No.
I mean, that says it all, really, doesn't it?
I remember in the Enzo season, we're saying, like 4-0 Leicester, 3-0 Leicester. I missed those days.
It seems like a lifetime away where we are now from the Maresca season to now. It's a completely different club.
I think there are 3 teams in the whole of the English pyramid that are the worst run teams in history. Well, which is Plymouth, us, and Sheffield Wednesday. I think they're the 3 worst run teams at the moment in the whole of the English pyramid.
You would imagine that Sheffield Wednesday in the fairly near future are going to get a new owner, and that could significantly. I mean, that's a massive sleeping giant, and you'd think there'd be American stroke Middle Eastern investors that will be interested in picking that up. Huge stadium, massive potential, huge passionate fan base as well.
Massive fan base, big history, massive history.
And they're not. I mean, they're in the Championship. If you can keep them there, with the right investment, you could have them on the cusp of promotion next season. Last, there's one here quickly. Sorry to butt in, Jono. Scott saying, do you think the players will try and jump ship in January? I just wanted to drop that in there, and he's alluding to like if they feel like we're going to get relegated. Do you think that there'll be some players looking to jump off the ship in January, Jono?
I bloody hope so. And I hope they've put their names are Sumare. I hope their name is Winks. I hope their name is Daka. I hope their name is Fass. I hope their name is Skip. I'll push them off the ship. Walk the plank, push. I'll push them off for you. As long as if those players walk the plank, I will. And Vestergaard. No, actually, no. Keep Vestergaard for this season, then I push him off the plank.
What about Faz?
Yeah, he's the attitudes. Faz has got attitudes. He wanted to leave in the summer. Vestergaard will argue with the Devi manager. Winks has got an attitude ever since Enzo left. He's like a stroppy child. Daka can't hit a bond, or if it was 1 meter away from it. And you said about Sheffield Wednesday, they're 27 points away from safety, so I don't think they're staying up.
All right. I'll remove that from the singing show. I mean, there's just a finishing parting shot. Andy, thanks again. Nobody can match our players' wages, and amongst all of this kind of dour chat, and this all feels very much like me and you together last season. It's all a bit like, oh God. Amongst all of this, there's a lot of money being thrown at these players, more than any other club in the Championship.
And that was the beginning of the dominoes when the person above put a contract in front of their face that says 60 grand a week for Pats and Daka. That was the first domino that led to this situation, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean that was the Samare Daka summer.
Yeah.
What to say?
Well, let's try and find a decent comment before we let's put a Martin's comment. Get rid of can't resign these waste of space players. We've got a bloody good youth. The only good thing about Leicester City at the moment is our youth players who are coming up from the academy are really good players coming through.
Yeah.
And
I mean, the other side of it is, as Jordan says, nobody's stupid enough to pay these clowns the wages they're on. You know, we've overpaid. I heard Gabby Bonlahor make this comment on TalkSport the other day when he was asked about Leicester, and he summed it up like this: that club's downfall is largely to do with the fact that they've signed a whole nucleus of mediocre players on very, very big wages, and that sums it up for me.
And that's not the Leicester way. Kante, Mahrez, players who
Vardy, Kanoko.
Yeah.
Danny Drinkwater.
Absolute Harvey Barnes.
You go on and on and on. Even Wes Morgan didn't cost a fortune.
No.
From Forest.
And
Kasper Schmeichel.
From Leeds, Man City. So as soon as that philosophy changed, we went downhill. That's what. Stick to the Leicester way. They worked. We won the Premier League with it. Anyway, we'll keep babbling on for bloody hours. I've got to go and do dad things. I appreciate you guys, all the comments. Cheers, Simon, for joining me tonight. Really appreciated.
It's always good to see you, mate, on a Thursday.
Marco Bright, that's another one for the absolute price of zero. Don't forget to follow us on all our socials. We've got a show on Sunday, the Aftermath show with Jamie, who is doing every Sunday for the foreseeable. And we've got Phil's show on Monday. I'm praying it's not another depressing week, but from what we've seen, we can't hold up too many high hopes. But we'll be back next week's time, won't we, for talk about the misery that is Leicester City.
Or maybe we'll be talking about a shock victory and rubbing it in every Derby County fans' nose that we can for a week.
Luckily, I live so far up north. I don't get any Derby fans here. Well, we appreciate all for watching. We'll see you all next time.
The Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live, thanks to our sponsors, Everard's, Pucker Pies, Hologram, Take Me, Newbie & Co, and the Fox's Arms.
Want to watch more content like this? Hit the like button. Give us your views. Hit subscribe to Leicester Fan TV and make sure to follow us on all socials.